The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you are either listening to or watching UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. You can listen to us in the U.S. on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and in Mississippi, and on 107.7 FM out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And this is the Angel Rock. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. I see all you filing in there. We're going to say hi in a minute. I promise. I'm glad you're all filing in here. A little bit about myself. I'm a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor. I always say I'm a budding animal communicator, but she's there. Every time I was going to say her word, the name Julie Jean Bassett is one of my mentors. She always gives me heck when I say budding, but I am. I'm also extremely well-versed in near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler myself, and I have studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years. And I'm also extremely well-versed in the paranormal. I always say I didn't go looking for it, it found me. And we've shared some of our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor, Season 4, Episode 9, called Demonic Hauntings. And you will see a familiar face if you ever happen to catch that episode. It's on YouTube, it's on Netflix, it's all over the place. I did not know her at this time, but I'm going to give her a huge shout out. She's our station network manager, a good friend of mine. We've been on each other's shows, and she has 2 shows on the network. She has Beyond the Outer Realm on Tuesdays from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and her name is Michelle DeRoche. She also has the wildly popular Wednesday and Thursday evening live show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with The Outer Realm. So you will see her there, but I didn't know her at the time. I'd also like to thank Carnation. They are responsible for all the live programming here on Mondays on UPRN, and Carnation is a global brand. So wherever you are in the world, if you're out shopping and you happen to run into, maybe you need something for the upcoming holidays, you run into Carnation, please consider sponsoring them in the way of purchasing some of their wonderful products, because they bring all our programs to you here on UPRN. We call it Carnation Mondays. And speaking of shows, a little bit about this network. It's been around for 25 plus years, and we stream multiple shows daily, 7 days a week live. And when we're not streaming live, the archive server kicks into those past 25 plus years. So we actually are live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, the website is getting a revamp, so keep your eyes open for that. The website is www.uprntalkradio.com. I hear there is a chat room, live chat room coming, as well as a merchandising store. So you may see some cool stuff in there from some of the hosts and network branding and things like that. So keep your eyes open for that. What else do I want to tell you guys? This network does broadcast to every country in the world. How cool is that? But 80% plus of our audience is audio only. So if you're listening and you're thinking, how are you guys like putting in questions and comments, and how can I do that if you're listening? I'm going to tell you very quickly how to find us. So under my name, Lorilei Potvin, or / the Angel Rock, you can go to my Facebook profile. You can go to my LinkedIn. We're live over there. My YouTube channel is Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. We're also on the Angel Rock / Lorilei Potvin on Instagram. I should check and see if anybody's over there yet. Hang on. We're a little bit behind sometimes on Instagram. We are also streaming on the network tonight. This is important because some of you may not find us. I am streaming tonight on our third channel for the network. The other two, we had a few little things going on with that. So if you're looking for your favorite shows, either on UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network or UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials, understand right now that they may not be working. So we are broadcasting for the network on YouTube on our third channel called International Public Radio, if you're looking for us. We are also on our Facebook page under UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network and Twitch. And I am on the owner of our network. I get to give him a huge shout out, Joe Montaldo. We're broadcasting out of his beautiful home on the bayou in New Orleans, Louisiana. So I am on Jojo Mon. I believe that's what it's under for Joe Montaldo on Rumble. So let me make sure. I'm almost at the end of my big long list, guys. I promise. Oh, the other thing I want to say, don't forget too, that Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, who is the host of Spirit Switchboard here on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and myself, we co-host Beneath the Hollow Moon on Thursdays, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be broadcasting live Christmas night and New Year's Day night. So for Christmas night, we are looking for spooky holiday stories. So if you have one, I'd like you to either reach out to myself on social media, or you can reach out to Carrie Lynn on social media, or you can write her at her email, but we use it for the show, Carrie Lynn's porch@gmail.com. Now, you won't be on for the full show, but we're going to be bringing people on to share their story for about five or so minutes. We're going to be calling that the holiday haunted hotline. And we are also, it was Carrie Lynn's idea. Many of you guys know about my son Justin, who passed away this past January, and he only loved to eat chicken nuggets and French fries. So we are having chicken nuggets and French fries that night on Christmas night, getting in all our cozy jammies and having a great time. So I invite you all to join in with us with that as well. Let me see that I remember. Oh, one more thing. Promise. Almost done. If you guys want to watch us on TV, there is a channel for the network, and it is on Roku. So you're going to head over there, go to the channel store, go to the search button, and you're going to type in UFO space P as in paranormal, and there's a drop down list, and you're looking for UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. I think just radio. We're about the third or fourth one down, and if you click on there, you can watch us on your TV. I think I remembered everything. I think, hopefully. But I'm going to get to my wonderful guest this evening. Let me put my glasses on. As I happen to get older, I thought I escaped the scourge of the readers, but I didn't. So tonight we have on Angel Thomas, who is a galactic traveler, healer, and spiritual teacher, actually, who helps people understand their soul blueprint, who they are, where they come from, and what their energy is trying to communicate. Angels' gifts include reading the energetic and geometric pattern of a person's soul, their past lives, future timelines, their starseed origins, their blockages, and the gifts they were born with. And by looking into all layers of someone's energy field, which includes their chakras, their emotional body, their subconscious patterns, and the energetic story they've lived through in this lifetime and others, lets angels see what's influencing them, what needs to be cleared, and where they're being guided next. Angels' work blends chakra alignment, energetic clearing, past life remembrance, soul retrieval, ancestral healing, activation of spiritual gifts, light code transmission, grounding, and reconnection to purpose. So welcome, Angel. I'm glad that you're here.
Hello, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we were talking about Miss Julie Jean Bassett before the show. She connected me with you, and I'm glad that she did, so thank you. So let's say hi to everybody. I like to do that first when we start the show. I don't know what goes on with Instagram because it doesn't put the comments in with StreamYard, so you have to pop back and forth, and it's always behind, always. But there are people that pop in. I hear a puppy. Is that a puppy?
That is my Great Pyrenees. She is barking probably at a leaf that fell out the tree.
You've got a big one then. I've got a German Shepherd, but Great Pyrenees, yeah, they're big dogs.
I have 3 of them.
Oh my goodness. You must have lots of room.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get 5 acres, so they guard my goats, and so she's just barking in
Oh,
the
we're
front
going to get
yard.
into that. I got to ask you about goats because I think they're the awesomest. But let's say hi to everyone. We got Julie Jean Bassett right at the top. And I always give Julie a huge shout out. Julie is an incredible animal communicator and animal healer. And she's one of my mentors. I've taken her beginner animal communication course as well as her animal chakra course. And I know she has one. I never remember the dates. I say I'm going to, I think it's this weekend, Julie, if I'm not mistaken. I just realized it's December 1st today. There's a beginner animal communication course that Julie is teaching from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this coming Saturday and Sunday. You guys, I strongly recommend it. If you've wanted to learn how to communicate with your animals or animals that you see, you're an animal lover, go for it, because I believe it's our right as human beings to be able to connect energetically, telepathically with animals. And Julie is an incredible teacher. She's also a fantastic shamanic practitioner. I've had a life-changing session with her well over a year ago, and I'm getting overdue. I think I need to have another one. And you can either reach out to Julie at juliejeanbassett.com for the animal things, or you can go to whitetailshamanichealing.com to connect with her more about the shamanic practitioner type work. So let's see, we got Heidi Gall. Heidi, I saw your message. I didn't get a chance to message you. Thank you very much. She just is so on top of our network for us. She is somebody that watches all the shows and she shares them, and really incredible. So she says, much love from Boulder. Then we've got Julia Evans, and she says, good evening from the UK. I know it's late over there, Julia, so thank you for joining us. And then Heidi says, hello, Angel. Much love from Boulder. And let's see, I'm going scrolling through. We got Contessa Martins here. She says, good evening to everyone. And thank you to everyone for being here. And we've got Sherry Madigan saying, hello, Lorilei and Angel. Let's see, we got Tristan Jacobson saying, namaste, dear soul fam. Nice to have you here, Tristan. Oh, I always love to call Kevin by his muggle name. I tease him all the time. It's Seasun Dragon, and he's saying hi to everybody here, so welcome. Let's see, who else have we got here? Yeah, he just said, hi, Lorilei. Hi, Angel. He said hi to everybody in the chat first, and I'm glad that he did. Our chat is so kind to people, Angel, that are new here or maybe just popping in, and really kind to one another, too, and we love that when we see that here. Oh, let's see. Heidi Gall says, my daughter in Kansas has a Great Pyrenees. Oh, wow. There you go. Okay, course, December 6th and 7th. So that's when they begin our animal communication courses, guys. You think I'd get that in my head, Julie? Got Jackie Collins here saying hi, everyone. And let's see. Oh, hi, Joanna Garfey McNally. I have not seen you in a very long time, so welcome. I'm glad to see you here. So you have goats. I have to ask you about that first, because I think they are the most hilarious, amazing animals out there.
Hilarious is the word for it, because at about 6 a.m. every morning, all you hear is the screams of the goats for food.
Oh my gosh.
They want to eat on time when you feed them, but they're the sweetest animals. They really are, but they're sneaky. You got to watch them. They'll eat your clothes, your tarps, the fencing, your shoes, you name it. They'll eat it.
Oh my goodness. Well, where I live, the place is called Thunder Bay. So we're not quite in the middle of Canada, but we kind of are. And we're about 45 minutes away from the Minnesota border. And it's 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And there's a lady here. Well, when my boys were growing up, I don't know if I don't think she has the farm open anymore, but she used to have this beautiful farm that it was like this giant animal sanctuary in a way, but she also grew strawberries. So you could go and pay to pick strawberries, go and pick pumpkins. In the wintertime, they had sleigh rides with the giant, they weren't Clydesdale horses, but they were about the size of them. They were black.
Wow.
And she had goats. And I remember the goats. Oh my God, they were so hilarious.
Have you ever done yoga with goats?
Oh, yes. I not here, but I've heard of it. Yes. Why do you do yoga with your goats?
Mine are too big. You don't want to do yoga with them, but it's big in Alabama. A lot of you can go to a lot of farms and do a lot of goat yoga.
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm just seeing, Sherry says, we just moved to an agricultural area with a couple of acres. My husband wants a goat. Now, as a goat owner, do you find that goats would probably be better with a friend, or are they better solo?
You got to have two.
That's what I
You either got to have all males or all females. You can't mix them because then you run into an issue. So you either want all
then you're going to
females or
have
all
a
males.
whole herd.
Yes, quicker than you expect.
We've got Michelle Wilfong. Hi, Michelle. Normally, I'm hoping, Michelle, because I find every time I check, see, I usually stream to TikTok. I'm usually one on network that does, but I have to use a special program to do it. And I'm not breaking any rules, but TikTok doesn't like when you don't use their live streaming software, but it doesn't play nice with StreamYard, unfortunately. So I got banned for nothing. We didn't do anything wrong, but it was about well over a month ago, and I had a 30-day suspension. But I found with TikTok, every time you check to see if they'll review it, they make that the new start date for 30 days. So I think we're close enough. You're probably thinking, why is she talking about this? It'll make sense. So I'm going to try this Thursday. We'll see, because Michelle Wilfong is my mod over there, and she's incredible at what she does. She has a channel over there on TikTok. You guys check it out. My Haunted Apartment. She's got some crazy stuff going on in her apartment. Got Kirby's 100 is here. Welcome. Sorry, I knew these are people that usually pop in here, so I didn't want to miss them all. Let me make sure I haven't missed anybody. Michelle Wilfong, I have TikTok Studio, Michelle, but the problem that I need, and it may sound very techy, is you need something called a streaming key and a stream URL. And the problem is that TikTok Studio will not give you one. So that's the problem. Believe me, I have spent hours and hours and hours and hours to figure this out. That's why I'm the only one that has figured out how to stream to TikTok with StreamYard. So, but thank you for the suggestion. So Julie's asking, speaking from experience, Angel, or she's meaning with the goats when I'd asked you?
Yeah, speaking from experience, I walked out my pasture. One of my goats had a set of twins, and the other had one just in the pasture.
Oh goodness. So go ahead. Sorry.
So I learned the hard way, and it was cold.
Oh, so do you have other animals besides the dogs and the goats?
I got Rhode Island red chickens, and I got guinea fowl. And I don't know if you ever seen the guinea fowl. Those things are loud.
Okay, so I don't know if she's going to pop in or not, but I know that Mish from over in Australia was talking about guinea fowl a couple of weeks ago. I've never seen them. I know they're not necessarily from Australia, but for some reason, if she's here, we'll have to mention that she'll probably pop in, because I know it's early morning over there, because she was really going on about guinea fowl a couple of weeks ago. So you were just thinking of Mish too, Heidi? So this is lovely, but I want people to find out all about you and what you do and who you are. So I guess I'm going to ask you, kind of what we do with most people, is how did you get into finding out the gifts that you have and what you do? Like, have you always been super intuitive? Is there a certain experience, or any way you maybe want to share a little bit about that?
It's interesting because most people are going to go, wow, but at 9 months, I saved the life of my mom, my uncle, and some family members because a cloud flew down and I spoke a full sentence. And I remember this at 9 months. So I said, Mom, Uncle Johnny, Uncle Bobo, look, there goes God. And I saved their life that day from what they were going to do. And then after that, I could just remember laying in my bed, and these orbs would turn into beings, would just come in my room. And I would just go, I'm like, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep. This is not real. And I would come out of my body, and I'm like, I'm going to turn my room light on. I'd go turn my room light on. It would come on, and I would look over, and my body's there in the bed. So from about a young age, this happened. And then I started remembering more. And I would have premonitions about things and tell my mom, like, hey, this is going to happen. Don't go do that. Or my grandmother, this is going to happen. Don't do that. Or I would see a timeline. And, I grew up in Alabama. So natural case would be, let's take Angel to church and let's baptize Angel. We got to get it right. So that was kind of how it started. So from about 9 months, I remember just about everything in my life.
That is phenomenal, because another, like I said, I'm very well versed in near-death experiences, but another thing that I'm very passionate about, and I know it's not quite what you shared, but give me a minute to explain is, and I know that you're not jumping in a minute for people listening, you're probably going, where the heck is Lorilei going with this? But what I love to read about, and it's usually very young children, remembering who they were in a past life or remembering where they've come from. And I have a very, very powerful, powerful belief that the younger you are, the closer you are to where you've come from, where we all come from, and you very much remember who you are as a soul energy, who you are as a soul, who God is. And so what you shared there makes a lot of sense to me. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, do you believe that as well? Because you've had your own personal experience.
Well, yeah, I believe that, because just to being able to say my mom's life, speak a full sentence at 9 months old to see God. And then I also had a near death when I was born. I was addicted to
Oh,
a heavy drug and I died. So
oh
I
wow.
wasn't even supposed to live. So I feel like for me, that was my first soul swap. Whoever was that was originally a soul swap for me. Um, so yes, I feel like I remembered all my past. I seen the universe. I
Mhm.
remember traveling with these beings, watching the creation of the universe, watching the creation of energy, of life, and understanding. So yes, and then I saw me. Each
Mhm.
life I took, each place I took. So I remember all of it.
Mhm. And I everything you're saying to me, I believe 100%. No, it's not common for that sort of thing, but I can tell you personally, right off the bat, I can think of two people, no, actually three, who have told me about a very not the same as what you said, but seeing the beginning of the universe, seeing traveling all around with a being. And one of my friends says he had what's called a universal download, and that's mind blowing, right?
Mhm.
And there's so much to absorb, and you wonder how could somebody possibly absorb all the knowledge in the universe, but it
But it
happened.
happens.
Mm-hmm. So that's intriguing. Super. Like my mind's going in a million different directions as we're talking here, and I'm thinking, because so how did you get into the work that you're doing today? Because oh, before I ask you that, I guess. When you said soul swap, would that be sort of, I might call walk in, but I prefer actually what you said, soul swap, if we're talking about the same. Because I actually, as a nurse, I think I forgot to mention that tonight. I'm also a nurse. I'm a retired, not physically working nurse, but I use nursing every day. But I used to work in the NICU. So I used to work with a lot of little ones that, so that's, like you said, it is amazing that you are here today with what you experienced right at birth and actually while in utero, obviously.
Yeah.
hmm So, um, sorry, I'm thinking of a million things here. I'm not usually this distracted. Um, so, how did you discover, like you said, you saved your many members of your family's life by the sentence that you uttered at 9 months? But how did you discover, like some of the things I've read in your bio when we started the show? Like, how did you discover you could do all these things? And let's talk a little bit about that.
When I first, so I went into a spiritual psychosis. I had that universal download. It hit me like a ton of brick about 20 years
Okay, so
ago.
let's just stop for one sec. Spiritual psychosis. That's what I want to ask you. Spiritual psychosis. What? Because we got people listening and watching that have no idea what that even means. We won't just all sort of be more spiritual people, be people from all over. So please feel free to share. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there, but
So from my experience, what I was experiencing was a lot of confusion, a lot of emotions. I was angry. I didn't believe anything. I didn't think anything was real. I was questioning everything. My mind, the information that was coming in had my mind so gone that I had almost shut down, to the point I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to do anything. It sent me into like a deep depression, but this information was still just flowing in, boom. So I found myself in a spiritual psychosis. I could see what was real for me, from my point of view, but I couldn't phantom it with the world of what I was seeing. So everything I was seeing in the world kind of blindsided me from what I received, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I was like just kind of mentally gone.
hmm
So
Okay.
yeah.
No, go
So
ahead, because I kind of asked you a question and sort of stopped you. So, yeah, but okay, so once you have what you're describing as a spiritual psychosis, and I haven't heard that term before, But it kind of explains it, because when you go through something like that, it's not like you can go to a doctor or somewhere else and explain what's happening, because they would believe that you were hallucinating, give you probably a 6-page diagnostic sheet of what's wrong with you mentally, and so on, right? So
Right.
once you get through this, then is this when you start to discover many of the things that you're able to do?
So once I started coming out of this, and I started coming out of this by jotting everything down that was coming in and researching it, and
Mhm.
then finding my own truth. But then my gifts started to, they were already online. So I'll back up. When I went to college, I played basketball in college. I
Oh, you're a
bet.
girl after my heart. I didn't play because I was in university for nursing, but I ate, breathed, and slept basketball.
I love it. But so you understand, I wanted to be normal. So I begged that these gifts stop. I begged. And then after basketball was the military. But in the military, you can't, well, I got to say, you can run, 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 but you can't hide. The gifts eventually started catching up.
Mhm.
Um, so after that, so once I went through this and I got out the military, retired, and came home, and I got these downloads, I started researching. And then I started doing these group channeling sessions. But I noticed I was seeing these beautiful geometrical patterns of people. I could actually draw them out. And then I was seeing maps of the universe. And then I was seeing portals. So I started to explore. I looked for like a mentor, but people, when with what I was explaining, going to people, they were like, that's not possible. They were telling me in the spiritual community, that's not possible.
You're
There's no
being
way
taught in the spiritual community.
you can't see that. They were saying that's a God's gift. You can't see that. That's not possible. And then I was
If you
listening.
came to me, I would never tell you that, because I knew right away that may be something we're getting into, which I'm very fascinated by. When I went to your page, and I do a little bit of research. I try not to do too much. I mean, I might know who you are and coming on and what have you, but I could tell by some of the stuff you were sharing that, oh my God, you're gifted when it comes to sacred geometry.
Yes. Because we're our pattern, our energy pattern is sacred geometry. So, a lot of people say we have 12 chakras. We have over 144 chakras.
I agree.
When you start connecting those lines, you can read the past lives of each person. That's their timeline. So you can
Wow.
start reading into that. And then you can see, okay, this is where they're blocked at. This isn't from this life. This is from that life. Let's go back to the root chakra and see, okay, they experienced this as a starseed, or they experienced this, the old witch wound. So you can start seeing that by reading
Okay, so
things
you're
in there.
throwing these terms out here. Hang tight with those in case my brain goes. So I have so many things I want to ask you. The witch. What was the first thing you just said? Which one before that you said?
Starseed.
Starseed. Hang on to those 2 words, because we've got a question for you. Can you hang on to that in case my mind goes? Because I know it will. My mind is all over the place, and I knew it would. This is why, like I said, I like to do a lot of research. I want to know who you are coming on, because I know spirit's going to guide me, and plus I have a very curious mind. I have so many questions. So the first question is, well, I'll share Heidi's, but it's not a question, but Heidi says, I'm beyond intrigued with sacred geometry. You and me both. Now, Contessa is asking, and it's a good question. I'll put it up on screen, and I read them out because of the people that are just listening, because they won't be able to read what we are seeing, obviously. She says, did you, oh God, this stupid streamer, sorry, streamer, don't take that personally. It says, did you, I was going to say stupid because I can't see it on the side. I'm going to put my glasses on. Did you ever want your gifts just to stop, is what Contessa's asking.
Yes, when I went to college, I wanted to be normal, because sometimes when I would come back to my body from sleep, from traveling, I would scream. And I didn't having a roommate, I didn't want that to happen. So I begged that it stop. And they did. So I went through college and about halfway through my military career. And then when my life was saved by a galactic being, because, I want to be careful with the wording, but I was a protector in a vehicle, and, I should have been gone. But there was a handprint on the turret where the bullet had been stopped.
Yeah, so we could say pew pew if you want.
For the pew pew had been stopped. So I knew there's no way that should have stopped it.
So somebody will say fired a pew pew at you, and
it was stopped. There was a handprint where it was stopped.
That I'm just utterly fascinated because, and Contessa, that's a good question to ask because my son, both my boys were gifted, even though with my youngest having the severe autism, he was highly intuitive and used to tell me, he one time said to me, Mommy, I have superpowers. And I said, You do? I said, Okay, Jesse, what are those superpowers? And he said, Well, I always know what the animals are thinking. And then I said, What's your other superpower? And he kind of looked at me, not that he really got sarcasm, but he kind of gave me the look of like, duh. He goes, Well, my autism, of course. And he said it, much more simplistically. So both my boys were very gifted. With my eldest, there were times where he would say to me, because he grew up with what I call the woo-woo, meaning I never shoved it on them, but I've been working in this field my eldest is 30, he'll be 31 in July. And I remember there were times throughout his life, he'd say, I don't want this anymore. Basically, depending where he was developmentally, renouncing the gifts. And I always supported him and said, well, you can never really turn them off, sweetheart. But should you ever want to have those gifts back again, it may take a little work to reconnect how much time you let go by, but you will be able to reconnect. Hang on to, I'm thinking the witch wound and the stars you haven't forgotten, because finally, look who just showed up here. We were talking about you, Mish. Were your ears burning? Because I know you brought up about guinea fowl a couple weeks ago. Guess who has guinea fowl? Angel, our guest, has them. Now, I know they're not from Australia, and I always tease Michelle or Mish. It's Michelle on the screen, but it's Mish. I always say she's watching us from the future because it's Tuesday morning over there in Australia. I also call her my birthday twin because her birthday is the day before mine in August. With the time change, I say we kind of intersect, so I call ourselves birthday twins. She says, boom, hello. And she remembers she brought up guinea fowl. So before Mish joined us, see, like I said, a lot of these things that'll see very commonplace to you and I, there's going to be people going, what's a starseed? What's a witch wound? What are all these things? And then I want to know so much more about the pew pew. Holy cow, my brain's going all over. So where do you want to start? Witch wound, starseed, where do you want to
go? I see the question. I'm just going to answer it. So it wasn't me. It was actually a galactic being, one of my guides that stopped it. So from
if you see something, please tell me to highlight it. Please go ahead. Sorry.
That stopped at pew pew. So it was not me. It was I could tell it was a galactic guide. So from there, I can jump into the starseed. So a starseed, what a starseed is, there's your Pleiadians, your Octurians, your Lyrans, Anunnaki, your Lemurian, your Lyrans, your Lyrans, your Lyrans, your Syrians. Those are starseeds. That those people have come here specifically for this time to help raise the vibration of Earth. So a lot of you have passed on, so that we know that there was wars that happened in the cosmos. So some of the starseeds from these stars, you're carrying some of these wounds from those wars, and you don't even realize it. So it's not uncommon. And a lot.
What are the wars about? I got so many questions. I don't mean to cut you off, but okay. So because there's going to be people that never heard. Like I don't know a lot about the wars myself, so I would love to know more about it. I'm sure Mish says she wants to talk guinea fowl. We'll save some time at the end, Mish. You were late. We were talking guinea fowl. Okay, so what happened with the wars?
So we know that the original Earth was Tiamat. It was destroyed through a galactic war. That's what our asteroid belt is now that circles Earth. So a lot of people, your Lyrans, the oldest lineage, you went through that war. We also know within Andromeda, there was a star system called Vega. Vega was also destroyed and invaded by the reptilians and draconians. So we know that then you have Earth, which is next. So those are the two wars that a lot of starseeds remember. And I think that's a lot of people have fear from that here now being on Earth. So a lot of you starseeds will dream about war. You'll dream about wars or warrior energy because you remember those times. But you also remember the wars here on Earth. You've seen them, you've lived them. So I'm noticing now in this time period, a lot of starseeds have this like kind of fear, tension to them. Like, do you feel this? What's happening? What's going on? Like we're preparing again.
I feel like something's coming. I've been using it as a hashtag, saying it probably for the last 5 to 8 years. Mm-hmm.
if you tap into your guides, because you'll have guides from Delirium, from Lemuria, from stars, you'll have those
I
guides.
never met those guys. So for me, and see, I understand, and this is with no disrespect to anybody else, but what Spirit has shared with me is they know that humans need to name things. They know that naming helps us keep things straight. But over on the other side, and you really do understand, as I know you will, that we really are all one. We're all a
All
piece of it.
one.
So we all know each other energetically. We don't use names. So when I was a little girl, because most of us that are in this field have had the strange and weird and crazy around us. And I'm saying that's what other people would call it. It's just our lives, right? And I can remember and I just turned 60 last August, or this August it just went by. So I was between 3 and 4. So my mom would put me to bed quite late at night, and I'd be in there and I'd be talking, and I never heard this name before, ever, ever, ever. The name Katem. I heard this name. I can describe who the woman was at the end of my bed. She told me I would have 3 boys. I didn't have 3. I had 2, but I had a miscarriage at the age of 50, believe it or not, and told me what their names would be. I indeed had to. That's why when I got pregnant finally, because I was told I'd never be able to have kids by doctors, I knew right away they were boys. I don't think I've ever said that on air, but I knew they were, because I figured out that was my guide. That was one of my main guides that's been with me. So I've never tapped into my galactic side of the guides. So I think I'm going to have to do that in meditation, or have you got more suggestions how we all can tap into our galactic family?
It's simple. You just ask them to give you a sign that they're near. Think of something out. So something I always tell people: ask for like a penny, and you'll find a penny that'll just land on the floor. Ask for, if you see cardinals all the time, ask for a dove feather. So ask for something uncommon, and then they'll let you know that they're near. And then from there, through meditation, you just tap in and you'll feel their energy. Their energy is very peaceful. It feels like a deep, unconditional love when you feel their energy.
Well, Kevin sharing, I astral traveled to various places and have encountered a lion world and have a few of them as guides now. Yeah, because that's the planet. I don't know why. I just know it. Like, know it, know it, know it. No doubt beyond a shadow of a doubt.
That
I've had
is,
weird. Sorry, go ahead.
I said that's from the Lyran lineage. That's your Lyran lineage, the
I know,
oldest
that's what I
lineage.
said. I know I am. Oh, Mish goes, wow, Kevin, a Leo world, because Mish and I are both Leos. There's a lot of Leos on this network, even as in the audience and as hosts and everything too. So, and just because you're a Leo doesn't mean that you're a Lyran. I get it, but it's like you just know it so deep in your soul. And I know that that's not the only galactic family, but please carry on. See, I got so many questions. I'm like all over. I'm super excited. So these galactic wars happen.
Yes.
So the first Earth was gone then? Is that what you're saying? It's the asteroid belt. Then you saw the creation of this world then within you?
Yes, I saw when I can remember being above. I was so young. It was so hard to be so young and see this. So a lot of this, I never really spoke on until I got older, but I could see the creation, the grid of this world being created, the creating of the water, the creating of the trees and everything. Even the first true life form here, and they don't have a name. I don't know what. I just see them. They're here. They're like little busy workers, but they're not little. They're huge. They were before the giants, and so I seen them working to cultivate, to make this a home, to make this a place that we could thrive in before we were even thought about to create it to thrive in.
Wow. Now you got me on giants, because I'm fascinated by giants. I believe that giants are still around. I don't know where they're hiding them, but with people having cameras, I understand with AI and deep fakes and things like that. But they are. I mean, one of the most famous ones out there is the Kandahar giant, right? Back in 2000, I think it was 2006, 2004,
Yes.
2006. Yeah. So there's that, right? And then dragons. Like, I think I've been seeing more and more energetically, it looks like, with dragons. And heck, I've even seen before AI a couple of clips. It looks like little tiny velociraptors crossing into a field across a path. So all that stuff, where do you think they're just coming in dimensionally, or where do you think all of these beings are?
So I've seen the dragons. They're in this cave. We've never explored here. There's this cave, and when you walk into this cave, it's like an amethyst crystal quartz cave, and there's
There's
7
amethyst
dragons.
everywhere where I live. There's amethyst everywhere. There's amethyst mines, amethyst everything. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's 7 dragons sitting in this caves. So I've seen them. I've sat with them and talked with them, and so the dragons, from what they've shared with me, they didn't leave because they wanted to. They left because they were being threatened. So they
I
never
agree.
really left. They're just hiding. So but some of our energetic dragons are still, like, I have probably 10 dragons that I work with energetically that are still with
They
us.
guard my property. Especially because what got me really on the spiritual path, like I was already following it, but the house I lived in before, and I've had people call me out for this. I had a dream and it was a lucid dream. There's no way it was not a lucid dream. It's like it happened 10 minutes ago. And I won't get too deep into it, but there was a man sitting in the tree in my old house. And long story short, I asked him in the dream, "Who are you?" And he told me he was. I still to this day do not know if he was a demon or what he was, but he said he was a demon, told me his name, told me how to spell it. I tried to get me to follow him for ridiculous things like wealth and fame. I told him under no uncertain circumstances would I, and it was a man. I can describe what the man looked like. Anyways, when I told him it's not radio friendly where to go. And then he started laughing at me, mocking me. That's when he told me it was a demon name and spelling. And then I told him even more emphatically where to go. And he went, "Oh, no, 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 no. Every time you see a crow or a raven, you're going to know who it is." And I remember in the dream calling on Archangel Michael. And I don't have the words to describe the colors, but the most brilliant sapphire royal blue flash, followed by white, followed by silver. And I woke up crying in a sweat and just blown away, and that's not me. And all heck did break loose in my house. Could not find that name. Had never heard that name. I say I was forced to become Catholic. I say I'm a retired Catholic, and I'm not bashing anybody's belief systems. Just for me, I say I'm retired. But I was forced to go to Catholic school, forced to go to church. Never heard this name. Then I was helping somebody 5 years later, and I was looking something up for them, and I just about fell off my chair. The name I had been given, the spelling of the name, and the animal form right there on a web page right in front of me. I was just blown away. But I had a very violent, very extreme paranormal experience in my previous home. That's what's got me in the line of the work that I'm doing today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Did you get rid of them?
Nope. I have somebody that has since gone back and been able to go in energetically. We could never find anybody. And you got to remember, I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know the people that I knew. I lost my house and I walked away from it. I didn't fight for it or anything. I lost. And it was like the whole street was affected. Like it is the craziest story. If I had not lived it, if I had not experienced it myself, I wouldn't have believed it. But I took lots of pictures. There were other people that had experienced the activity besides myself and my family. I have EVPs from that house. I never interacted with anything I was told not to. There was 4 main things in my house. Everything that could have gone wrong did. Everything that could have been broken did. I got divorced in that house. Like I'm telling you, everything that could have happened did. And then we walked away from it. I don't have that kind of activity here. But mind-blowing. I'm actually writing a book about it because had I not lived it, that's where I was going with the EVPs. I called into a friend of mine, Jason Bland. He has a show for anybody listening that's interested on Sunday nights live on Facebook and YouTube called Paranormal Soup. He really helped me connecting me with people and what have you. We could never find someone to help us. But anyways, I'm getting off track here. EVPs. He used to have a show where you could call in every now and then. And I've released some of those recordings. They're on his YouTube channel from years ago. They're not, this is the most intelligent being and this was all live, not planned. I just called in at the last minute of 2 Halloween shows. And like it clearly comes through. You know what it's saying. You don't have to have headphones on. It is mind blowing. Is just
Wow.
insane what went on there. Yeah.
Wow.
Kevin, yeah, Laura, Kevin sis, love that story. Laura, truth bumps every time. And I made it short tonight. That's how our experience started. Also have missing time from that. And then Joe Montaldo, speaking of starseeds, to bring this all back, he has International Center for Alien Research. He's been on ancient aliens and all kinds of things. He's the owner of the network. On his website, I think it's icar.net, he has a 20 plus year study. It doesn't take that long. You can fill it out, looking at people that either have had ET experience or abductions or UFO, like seeing a lot of UFOs. And what he has said from his research is red hair, green eyes, and Rh negative blood did not exist in the human genome before 70,000 years ago. So, and my mother has all those three. I don't, but have had some ET experience. So, speaking of star seeds, and I know I'm all over the place, have you also had some experiences? And I guess you're going to say spiritually, more or less, with other races off world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even today, you can walk outside on my property now and look up, and you'll see a ship at any given time. But even as a kid, when I would come back to my body and I would be screaming, when I would open my eyes, they would still be in the room. My mom has the oil putting it on my forehead and praying, and they're looking at her and I'm looking at them, and they would still be standing in my room. And I would see them in my eyes.
Oh, I believe you. And again, as your mom probably thinking, "Oh my God, what's taken over my child?" Right? Instead of seeing that you actually really were seeing what you were seeing, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to go back. We got a few comments. I see it, Kevin. I know what time it is. Thank you for the reminder. We have to do a station ID at the hour. So and I usually forget, but people are so good. Kevin just gave me the beginning of what I usually say on the station ID. I'll get to it. So Kevin says, then there is also a dragon realm, I think is what he meant, right? I have been exposed to, and my magical token is, pause for dramatic effect, the sun dragon, because he's the sun dragon. And then Mitch is sharing Bigfoot and giants and dragons all have the ability to only be seen by some. Go ahead if you want to comment. Go ahead.
And really, by all, it's just about raising your vibration to reach their frequency. It just being in a state of unconditional love. You see more than you think you're going to see.
100% in agreement with you. Yeah. And trying to explain that. And I again, looking at your work and your website, I would call you, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but a spiritual teacher and mentor. And again, when you're trying to explain vibration to people, it's like the easiest is like a radio station, right? Tuning into the right frequency to get that station. That's how I believe you'll be able to see beings like giants and dragons and Bigfoot and such.
Yep.
Heidi says, when I started my journey, one of the first concepts I found was star seeds, and have been saying since I was 12 that I will live through some catastrophic or world-changing event.
You've already lived through it. You just remembering it. And most of us star seeds, we hid a lot of information within our DNA, within our soul. So our soul never forgets. It has the information. You just have to tap in to remember. And that's kind of what I do. I help you remember what you've forgotten. And then it's like a permission slip. Then you start to remember and see these different lives for yourself and learn from them.
That makes so much sense, because like all the things that I now know that say I didn't know 15 years ago, I didn't just read it. It's like you go to bed and it's like it's been downloaded into your psyche, if you will, your being, and you just know that you know it. And I know you can call it clear cognizance. You know that you know it. You don't know how you know it. But I just loved how beautifully you just explained about how you can kind of tap into, or you go to someone like yourself that could help people remember, right?
Yep. Because our soul never forgets. It knows every journey, every life we've ever taken. We just have to listen to it.
So I'm going to do our station ID because Kevin reminded me. He says, if you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Angel Rock with myself, Lorilei Potvin, and my amazing guest, Angel Thomas, who I am sure, if they're ever open to, is more than welcome to come back on again, because I know we're not going to have enough time for me to. And I didn't come with any questions. This is what happens. So it's a very organic conversation because I'm just fascinated and really resonate with what you're saying. But I knew through Julie Jean Bassett, you guys introduced me to Angel, and I didn't even look you up or anything. As soon as she told me, I went, yep, okay. And I kept forgetting to reach out to you because I got busy. And I'm so glad Julie would remind me, because I knew she would know that you and I would connect on this type of level. So yes, you are tuning in. My brain is all over tonight. Sorry guys, the squirrel brain is really bad tonight. I have no idea why. I apologize. So you're, like I said, you're just tuning in. You are listening to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. You can listen to us on 105.3 FM in the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM out of the beautiful city of New Orleans. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, and Angel Thomas is our amazing guest, as I started to say and got off track with Squirrel Brain. You guys, check us out on our website, www.uprnontalkradio.com. We are getting the website revamped. There should be a chat room, and I believe a merch store is supposed to be coming with that. And just remember, too, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, not everything is all UFO and paranormal on this network. I believe we're anywhere usually between 30 and 35 live hosts. So we're always bringing on new shows, new content, and there really is something for everybody on the network. So please, if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends and family about us. Hang on, I just going through. Did I miss anything? Oh, Heidi's saying you have to believe. Mish says I want to believe. I think they're talking about to see dragons and Bigfoot and things like that. So Tessa has a question. She says, do you think that only certain people are meant, and with a / choose to see and experience all this?
I think we all are meant to see it. And I think we're going to see it, whether we want to or not, because the veil, as we like to call it, or what I like to call it, is the conscious mind awakening, is beginning to thin. So we're going to see it more than what we think. Here's the catch, though. We'll see it, but we pass it off as something else instead of seeing it for what it really is. So we're going to see more and more than, everybody will be able to see.
Okay, so when you say, so I'm a little bit confused because my mind's going to something else, but we're going to see is the way you said it, but we're going to see it as something else. I wasn't quite sure what you meant by that.
So sometimes we'll look up in the sky and we may see a star, and we see something come out of the star. Instead of seeing it as a ship, we'll say that was a shooting star.
I gotcha.
But if you look and pay attention to how it flies and moves, you'll realize that it's a ship. So more and more of that is happening, and more people are now starting to say, oh, wait, that wasn't a star. Oh, wait, that was actually a ship. Mm-hmm. Because we forget how far away the stars really are to us.
I had this argument with my partner, Della, all the time, because I have so many video clips of, and I think they're ships, but Julie Jean Bassett and I have a story. This was from last November's full moon, not this November that just went by. And she sent me a picture, because people send stuff all the time, as I'm sure they do to you too, right? And she said, what do you think of this? Is it something? And I looked at it and I went, I'm not quite sure. And I said, do you think you could get a video of it? And she said, sure. So I showed it to my partner, Dell, and he goes, that's a lens flare. I go, it's not a lens flare. Lens flares with iPhones are usually white. So I go outside, turn on my camera. It was a lens flare. He was right about that. But as I'm videotaping and she's videotaping, I'm watching, and if the full moon was at a clock, it would have been between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. I start to see this red, tiny, minute little dot going all over the place. Like I'm losing my mind. And I voice message everybody because My phone is possessed and thinks it knows how to spell better than me. And I talk to so many people in the daytime. It's just easier, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going, holy cow, Julie, you're not going to believe what I'm seeing. Hang on, I gotta film this. So I send it to her, and she goes, I don't quite see it. I said, hang on, and then I blow it up and I outline it. She goes, holy cow, there was no way, there was no other explanation for what that was. None. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even with the lens flare, if you blow them up, you
Yep.
can tell when it's something because there's a geometrical pattern that will be with them, and it won't look the same.
I am seeing that. You know where I'm seeing that a lot? And I'm laughing at all the comments here because people are laughing at my squirrel brain, which is true. um, okay, so, and again, I have, even though my partner Dell and I, we've been together almost as long as I was married to my first husband. So, which is almost like 17 years. I think in January, I think it's been 17, almost 18 years. Anyways, he lived through the paranormal stuff. And I always joke with him and say, the paranormal never happens unless it happens to you. Because otherwise, it's true. Because otherwise, it's always, well, it was probably this, it was probably that, whatever. Right. So in the sky, especially when it gets cold like this, it looks like a star, but it isn't, because it looks like it's kind of turning and moving, and there's patterns in it when you blow it up. Right? He's going, that's just a satellite. I'm going, it isn't. And I've been filming them and watching them. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you can just look up and see them. And it's so, when you blow them up, or even you can ask them to come closer. Ask them to come closer.
Okay.
Or ask them to change the color. I've asked them, because I went through that with my partner. I said, watch this. I said, change your color to a random color, and it will. She's like, okay, I believe you. So you can ask them to come closer. You can ask them to change their color. I've spoken with them, and then there's a huge field across from my house. There was this bright light just one night went whoosh. My partner, she took off running back in the house. She's like, I don't want to talk to the ET. I was like, I'm telling you. So when you see them,
I'll deal with it.
Listen, you would die, because there is a cabinet in my living room that's full of these over 100-year-old porcelain dolls that we keep locked up.
Oh, wow.
And I know that there's, that's why we keep them locked.
So do they do naughty things?
They can't. They're locked up.
Mm-hmm. See, I didn't even know you were, not that you're into that, but if you have things like that, you're aware of those type of things, because people that, and I don't want to make this sound elitist to anybody or arrogant or anything like that, but there aren't a lot of people that are in the buzzword of the light worker space that know a lot about the paranormal, at least in my experiences over the years, right? Nothing wrong with that. I think we work in the field that we're called to, but sometimes, like I say, I know a lot more about the dark than I ever wanted to know. I never wanted to work with the dark. And it's like, well, it found me, and I don't work with the dark, but actually it was something prophetic my partner said to me. And it was years ago. We've known each other our whole lives, but we've always just been friends. And I remember I was showing him how to do something on the computer, and he had popped over. It was just when we started becoming friends, before we got romantically involved. And I said to him, I'd just taken my certified angel card reading course. This is how long ago it was, with then Doreen Virtue, who was in the field, no longer is, and has renounced everything for anybody listening. And I said, I only want to do angel cards because I only want to work with the light. I only want to, work with good things. I want nothing to do with the dark. And I have never forgotten what he said to me then. And he said, Laura, if you're going to be working in this field, you need to know both in order to know the difference.
Yep.
He was right.
100%.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk more about your work, because, okay, so when you were talking about the witch wound, okay, yes. I heard a bit about this. I've just started to more embrace my witchy side. I know I was a witch in my past life. I know one of my past lives that has been confirmed for me by two different people that didn't know each other. It is a crazy story, but we're not talking about me tonight. We're talking about you. So which wound you did mention.
So you look at it. For me, I see two different eras, and what a witch is true alchemist. So you have to think when we went back when the burning of the witches, a lot of women went through this. They were burned, they got rid of. But then let's go back even further because a lot of people don't talk about this. The burning of the Great Library of Alexandria. That was
Ooh,
another period.
yeah. Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
those are two areas where alchemists were women, especially because women were in power in both of those eras. When people were sick, they went to a woman for medicine. When people were sick, so a lot of women experienced the downfall of that library and the burning of the witches during that time. And this went on across the world because I mean, you could watch movies now about how it happened in London and Britain, everywhere. So a lot of women carry that wound of fear of being seen or fear of growing an herb garden. Like people will grow flowers, but they won't grow the herbs because it's just something that small is a wound they carry. So that's the witch wound.
I just said to you, I just have started to embrace that side of the alchemy because for years I've had people say that to me. Well, you're a witch, right? No, I'm not a witch, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't care if people are witches. And now I realize that why not embrace it? You can use it for healing. You can use it for a lot. Heck, my name comes from, it's a morbid name. I'm not called Lorelei. I'm not German, but my name is spelt like Lorelei, and was named for the Lorelei sirens. And it's so morbid. They would have the siren song and lure sailors to crash into the rocks to their death. But that's what I'm named after too. Probably if I did sing on those rocks, they would crash because it would be that bad.
It is. So a lot of people don't, but it's going to be needed. Just not tapping into a future timeline because I'm always cautious about the future. But that alchemist, that is going to be needed. That's something that we're going to see more and more of in the future. That's going to actually come back.
I want to hear your thoughts on the future because I that was very interesting what you said about the future. You're always cautious of the future, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, just with the future, we see that we're going to move away from more pharmaceutical stuff and move into more holistic. We're going to move, our currency is going to change, energy is going to change because the amount of light that's shifting through this earth, the energy where earth is raising her frequency, is causing massive awakenings and things are starting to fall in front of us. We're watching the system and everything start to fall, but that's on purpose. Everything is done by design because us light workers and starseeds and indigo children, we will begin to start to awake and help transform this earth into a more of a conscious area, more Christ conscious area, positive area to where we need to be, back to holistic medicine, farming, garden. I say all the time on my TikTok and stuff, find your neighbors, find your electrician that can build natural electrician, find your farmer that grows food, find your herbalist that has the herbs because that's where we're going to shift to. But it's going to be better for us, not only health wise, spiritually wise, mentally wise, and physically wise. So it's going to be amazing.
You and I have been talking about many of the same things, it sounds like, here, because we definitely my partner used to be on the network, but we have done shows about this. We've talked about it. I've talked about it, exact same thing. But I have a question for you, and we have to be careful. I hate the word conspiracy theory. I prefer truth seeking. So there's two questions I have, and I'm just asking you. If you don't know the answer, that's okay. I'm not putting you on the spot. But why do things have to be done by whomever, we'll say the puppet masters? Has to be done by 2030. You've heard this. What's your thoughts?
It had to be done by 2030 because 3 equals 5. The next year is the number 6. Everything happens in 369.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the year of the number 9.
So you're talking about astrology then? Is that what you're saying?
It's not astrology, it's numerology because the universal language is numerology. It's through numbers. It speaks in numbers, geometrics, and patterns. So if you look at the numbers, so if you look at 2030 has to be complete. Mm-hmm. So the reason everything's happening now because it's put in front of people to see, to open their eyes and see it. When you see it, it triggers that higher self. It triggers you to go, wait, I need to change to be better. So that's why it's going to be done by 2030. And I actually think it's going to be done by 2027 because it's rapidly happening. If you feel the energy of the earth, it's rapidly shifting.
Okay, so going back, and I'm seeing this, I understand numerology. The reason why I asked you about astrology, a couple of my friends that are astrologers that have been on here, they've talked about it being, again, almost going back to numerology, but even where we can be in a 9-year cycle. That's why I asked you when you said a nine. I get where you're coming from with the nine, right? 20, 20, yep, nine. That makes sense. But I was thinking, because I've heard, I'm thinking of my friend Carmen Turner Shot, and she's talked about that before. She used to once upon a time ago, when you signed up for her website, like just a newsletter, she would give you like a 27-page readout. And I remember her part of my reading, she was talking about at that time that I was in a very significant time in the 9-year cycle, but it didn't relate to numerology. So that's why I asked you, but that makes sense. Because to me, though, and I want to ask you this just out of thoughts, I'm feeling that those that may be controlling whatever they control, you can call it the 1%, you can call it whatever. And I don't know if I'm picking this up wrong, but it feels right that they've been given a time frame to complete whatever they're completing, right? And we've seen how things are shifting. We've been seeing the truth rise to the surface. We've been seeing people awakening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it almost feels like their energy is very frantic because
Mm-hmm.
they know 2030 is coming. And if it is indeed what you were saying, as in 2027, because I know their commercial they used to have out there for 2030. By the year 2030, nobody will own anything and you'll be happy about it, and so on and so forth. I've been asking so many people privately and on air, and I know we're being careful here, why 2030? And it feels like to me they were given a time frame a long time ago with the power, and they were told you must have it, everything you need to do, and we're giving you till 2030, not done. This is
So
what,
yeah.
and we're seeing it, I think, with what you're saying, that humanity is waking up, that we're going back to our roots, if you will. We're going back to, like you said, farming and nature and things like this. And I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So it's interesting because even conversations like this
Mm-hmm.
create a ripple in the timeline.
I like that.
So the people we reach today creates a ripple. So it actually speeds up the timeline. So this conversation alone will speed up that timeline. So my thoughts on us going back to that is that it's going to be it's going to be better for us because it's a reset for us. This is going to be like a reset for us to say, okay, but here's what's still going to be at play: technology.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have to learn this field of AI, this field of technology, while also coming back to our roots and then being centered and grounded and connecting back in nature. But also while the veil is gone, because we're going to see everything during this time: galactic beings, ETs, Bigfoot, mermaid, unicorns, you name it, giants. It will be revealed. So we will also have to learn to be one with all that is, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it
That's
makes
why I think.
perfect sense to me. But where I had so many thoughts and then reading the chat here, so I'm trying to gather it. No, I hear what you're saying. I love that I love talking about timelines and dimensions and portals, and I could go on and on and on about that. But so I see what you're saying. But to me, too, like I've had people talk about this. I've seen Dolores Cannon when she was alive, some of her stuff that she had recorded from people that she had in hypnosis, that it's almost like there's going to be two earths, right? With our thing of free will. Like I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, and I don't know what the answer is. So I'm asking you, like those that choose to do exactly with what you are saying right here, and I agree with you that we are moving there. And those that choose to not have that choice to stay, if you will, on Earth 1 versus Earth 2. But I'd love to hear, what do you think?
How do I explain this? It will be the same Earth, but different timelines. So it's like that story. We've heard that story when the ones are taken up and the ones are left to try and figure it out. I think it's in the Bible. That story. That's what it's going to be like. So those of us that will ascend to this 5D, we will ascend. Yet the ones that are still left here to believe, they will be here to. I mean, they have free will. They could choose not to, or they could choose to stay in the
Mhm.
same cycle. That's what reincarnation is. It's the same cycle. It's
Mhm.
you're learning the same thing over and over again. It's like when
Mhm.
that's what the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. We're choosing not to do that in a sin, as were those who we've been those people that did not. So we've had our lives, our cycles, and over. So I think that's what the split is, because a person can be standing next to me, but if I'm not vibrating with them, I don't even notice them, because our vibrations are not compatible. It'll be like a
So,
mirror.
so do you think then that disclosure? Because I feel like I already believe that off-worlders. I hate calling them aliens because I don't think they're aliens. They're already here. They've been
Hmm.
here forever. They've been here before us. But I keep feeling like 2027 is going to be the year. Is that when
Hmm.
you? Because I also know about Project Bluebeam too, right? And we can't have one without the other on this planet. But I would prefer that people, or people that choose, I guess I can't tell people what to do, but they're going to try and weaponize that, right? But that's human nature. Always, you could have a good thing, and there's always somebody, if you will, the bad apple that twists it and use it for negative things.
So
Hmm.
we got to have duality. The ego's never going to
Always.
go away. It's always going to exist, and then you have the light. But what we're striving for now is a balance. We've been in an ego heavy, so now we're trying to have balance. So yes, you're going to have the people that don't believe are going to try to destroy it. I mean, you'll have the people that a galactic being can walk up to them and be like, "Hey, I'm from the space," and teleport and come back, and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't believe it." You will still have those people, because we have to have that duality. Duality exists in everything. So yes, they will still be there, but yet you'll have us who will be the ones that are awakened, and it will be actually a more balanced earth than an unbalanced.
No, and I've been saying that for quite a long time now, is if you could have the perfect situation for Earth, it would be everybody being perfectly grounded, not just humans, everything living perfectly grounded, up through the chakra system core, connected to source or whatever people want to call it, and the perfect balance of negative and the perfect balance of positive, right? But everything strives to be in balance, and that's where I think we can see this in the beauty of it all, especially and dogs are coming to mind, if you will, or a wolf pack, right? It's in balance. Like animals in general, the best state I think for them to be, and they strive to be, especially in the wild, is in balance, right? In harmony. Hmm.
And right now, we're the only ones kind of off balance. We're more ego heavy.
Hmm.
So we're trying to balance with nature. If you look at nature, nature is the perfect example of a tree. I love trees. I talk about them all the time.
Love trees too.
You look
Hmm.
in the summer, they shade us to protect us from the sun. In the winter, they shed their leaves so the sun could come through. We're striving for that type of balance in humanity. So it's going to come one way or the other, but it's on its way faster than we think.
So going back to your work then, say somebody, let's talk about, say somebody booked a session with you. How can you help them? And like, say what would be a typical, and I know you can't put it in a box. I always say think like there is no box, right? Not like think outside the box. There is no box. But for many of the things that you're able to help people with, which I can think of a multitude to infinity. But why would people want to come and book with you? I don't normally ask people this, but I'm asking you because I think what you do is very powerful.
So people can book with me for many reasons. So if you want a soul reading, this is when I read the geometry of your soul. I read your past lives. I read the cycles of the past lives that are present now. So I'll use you since we're on the call with you with that witch wound, that fear of being seen, fear of stepping into that alchemical state is what, and that's from the burning of the great library. You experienced that beyond that. So you were with the first one, but you were a true alchemist. You sat in the library, you studied, you learned, you read the emerald tablets, you translated the emerald tablets because you seen when the emerald tablets were written, because you were a part of that Anunnaki, that Thoth, that Isis, that Hecate movement, being closely connected to Hecate. So you understand that. So you knew the importance of those tablets and the information, and you knew the work. So when they were taken and burned, that wound of, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to step forward to put my foot forward to help humanity. So you've kind of suppressed that side of you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it would help you. So by knowing that pattern, we can break that pattern. And I can do it through going in and weaving your timeline together and pulling it forward and pulling it out. Some people will cry. Some people say their heads feel like it was spinning. Or you can work through it on your own by being aware of it now. So that's kind of an example of a soul reading I just did for you, a breakdown of your timeline from Hecate to the burning of the Great Library to now and what you're holding on to.
I really appreciate that, Julie, saying Angel is amazing. Nobody, they will not be disappointed, meaning if you go for a reading with you. Well, I'm going to add to that. That kind of makes sense too. Even like I know deep down there's a fear of success for myself, as well as even financially, right? Like I seem to kind of be locked into this. That all kind of even reach, and I know that that wouldn't be the only reasons. And of course, you're not going to do a reading that quickly. That's just something that you read off of me. And I don't have a problem with that. Like I tell people all the time, if I have somebody that does readings or does whatever, feel free to use me as an example. But even just what you just shared there, which was phenomenal. And I actually felt that right down to my soul. Just what I brought up kind of also makes a lot of sense from what you just shared with me.
Yeah. So yeah, you have a fear base, but that is your success. Stepping into that, the herbal, the alchemist. You transmute everything already, so you might as well go ahead and do it for a living if you wanted to.
I appreciate that.
So now you have it. So that's kind of an example of a soul reading I would do. And that's just a small one, just a little bit of what I see. But I would read a person's entire geometrical pattern and system. If someone did a soul retrieval, I actually channel them and I would go and retrieve those parts of the soul for them and reconnect them and bring them back and send it to them. Because sometimes we have
had to do that for me because of something that very traumatically happened, as many of us do, but as a small child. So for people that don't know what soul retrieval is, so could you maybe put that in layman's terms for people?
So when we have trauma, conditionings, beliefs, things that severely affect us, a piece of our soul will get left in that timeline. So we can actually go and retrieve that and get in for healing and bring it back to make a whole is the simple way of explaining it. And Julie does. I love I've had Miss Julie do some phenomenal work for my mom. So I just want to throw that out there because my mom was gone and Julie went in and did some soul retrieval and healing for her. And 2 days later, my mom was going to rehab. So she's phenomenal.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So you can do that. Now, when you're doing a reading of somebody's soul, because these are terms like it's not, you got to remember, it's not just people that are in the spiritual field that are watching. So they're probably going, what the heck's a soul reading? Like, what's that? That's why I'm asking. You can, like, it's commonplace terms to you and I, and many of the people in the written chat, but there's people listening that probably never even heard these terms. So breaking it down into something that people might be able to understand the way of a soul reading, because I think it's phenomenal. It's not something you're going to see every day. You have very unique gifts, Angel.
So I'm reading, as we would call it, maybe your higher self is what would be a better way of pronouncing it, or your energy body. So I'm reading the energy that you're carrying, your energy signature, because our energy has a different geometrical pattern. So that's what I'm reading. So your energy signature is what I'm reading. Your pattern.
Okay, but for your soul, for example, like we all know, most people I think know that they have a soul. So if somebody came to you for a soul reading, is it kind of, I'm hearing it and I'm seeing it, but I'm not going to be good at putting it into words. So say, let's use some examples. Like say, well, I'll use my family, for example. On my mother's side, there has been generations and generations of alcoholism. I knew for myself as a very small child that that's never going to happen. That this stops with me, including the way I raised my children, everything. Um, is that something maybe that's like a familial? I've even heard curses. Do you believe in curses? Could it be something carried along the mitochondrial DNA throughout the familial line? Is it something from a past life? And if you don't know, that's fine. I'm just using that topic as an example for people?
So that's something that I would read in what's called your Earth Star chakra. So everybody's familiar with chakras. Your Earth Star chakra is located 6 to 12 inches below your feet in Earth. So I would read that ancestral pattern from that chakra, and that would have a connecting piece up to your root chakra. So that's where I would read that at in your geometrical pattern. So yes, it would be a generational curse, but it would also be it wouldn't be DNA. That's more of generational curses for families. So that's something you broke within your family. That would be located in your Earth Star chakra.
Mm-hmm. So there could be something known as a curse then, right? Like, because I get people that'll tell me there's no such thing as curses. I don't believe in curses. And Spirit gave me this years ago. I never take credit for it. But what it is what you perceive becomes what you believe, and it becomes your reality. So if you've seen generations and generations of this, maybe you've heard it's a curse. Maybe what we absorb, especially as young children, we're like sponges, absorb what we hear, what we see. And a lot of times people that have either been the victim of something, not all the time, but sometimes they become the aggressor to whatever that could be. So I'm talking, say, alcohol, for example. Never mind, you could have a spirit attachment on top of that too, right? Like there's so many reasons why.
There's a bunch. I mean, let's look at my family. The oldest aunt, who just recently passed, put a protection spell around my family, but the spell turned into a curse because I had 2 uncles die in the hospital, 2 aunts from cancer, and 1 uncle from cancer. When my aunt passed, I felt the shift in my family. So it's like everybody healed and felt better, to include my mom. So so sometimes we see a curse. It's like, oh, like I'm putting this on you because I want to stop you from doing that. But it could be something as simple as a protection spell, and it traps people into like their own energy. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining that right, or how to explain that in different ways.
See if this might help. So for example, when with my house, my previous home, we had somebody locally first come and try and help. And when they came, they were very, very high, I'm going to say woo-woo. And that's not a bad thing, but talking very high spiritual concepts and stuff that a lot of people may not get. And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't mean it that way. But when they came, they said to me, I was told by my team that I'm in for the fight of my life to be prepared, bring everything I've got. I wish to God I had filmed what had happened that day when she tried. But I can honestly tell you what ended up happening with her coming in with the best intentions. She ended up, it almost felt like she had locked all that energy in there, and it just got a whole heck of a lot worse because without everything over top it was locked in before what was negative could come and go. Is that what you're trying to sort of say in a way?
Yeah.
I know it's not the same, but
it is kind of is. So a protection. She wanted to protect her siblings.
with the best intentions, yeah.
But they went the opposite way. So it ended up being a generational curse. So a lot of cancer and alcohol and things, and a lot of the uncles and stuff died. So it was broken with my line because we've all been pretty healthy. None of us have no issues. And so, but when she passed, that's when it shook. You could feel the dynamic in the family switch. So yeah, it could be possible in a generational curse, something like that. That's coming from trauma. Someone with trauma with good intentions is trying to do something positive, but the trauma ends up setting the intention.
I got you. That makes sense. Thank you for sharing that. We do have one question. I've been trying to star them. I'm sorry. I just have so many questions I want to ask you. And you guys feel free to ask questions too, because that's kind of how I do my shows though, right? Because I know I'm genuinely interested in what you were talking about, and I know our audience is too. So we're just having a conversation. See, I told you don't be nervous. Okay, so Mish is asking, I have another question. This isn't the one, but was one. She's asking about 3-Eye Atlas. What are your thoughts on that?
I channeled 3-Eye Atlas, and I got, if any of you know who the Anunnaki were.
I do.
And Lil Anki was actually powering 3-Eye Atlas. I got that they came in for starseeds, brought in some upgrades, but they would not stop because if they were to enter our atmosphere, it would shake our whole construct, so they couldn't. And that they will be back. They would send a small ship. So we know that the Anunnaki left and we know that they all travel via ships. They've always been in our atmosphere. This is the first time. This is the first time anybody's ever actually seen them. I think it was once before, maybe 1970. I think something 72-ish. Another incident. So it's just the Anunnaki. It's their ship.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, you're the first person that's told me that. So that is very intriguing. So Mish is asking, so I'm going to unstar it. She said, curious, what does the soul do when the family is born into Shunsum? Is that what she said? Shunsum?
It's written in the stars. That was part of your path. It's a reason for that. And I feel like that reason is so that for you to learn something, grow. So don't look at it as a shun. Ask yourself, what are you to learn from this? Because there's something for you to learn. There's some growth in there that's to happen. So it's look at it as a learning experience. The soul continues on. It's still going to guide you where it needs to go. You just have to tune in to listen to see what it's trying to tell you.
And I agree with you on top of the fact that, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, but we do, I believe, choose our parents. We do choose the families we come into, and it's what we decide what to do with that when we're here, right? Like exactly what you said. So again, it sounds very cliche that everything happens for a reason, but it really does, right? In divine timing, in perfect time for when it's meant to happen. I just had this conversation with my one of my close friends, Leanne. Julie knows her as well. And she was talking about that before the holiday weekend in the US. We had Thanksgiving here in Canada in beginning of October. But she had heard, I think the day before, today is the busiest traveling day in all of the US, blah, blah, blah. And the number was out there. And she said it really, really hit her and got to her. Like, says who? Because you've told us that it's this many people out there traveling. You've now ingrained our brains and our souls to think it's the busiest thing. And it kind of goes back to sort of to what you said, just the conversation that we're having tonight helps change and shift the timeline. Well, it works both ways, right? You've got the media or somebody telling you this is what it is. People listen, whether actively or subconsciously. We absorb it, and then it becomes what you perceive, becomes what you believe, and becomes your reality, right?
Absolutely. Because energy is always in motion too. It never dies, it never rests. So those
I like
thoughts
what you said
continue to travel.
I like the way you said that, because I usually say you can't create energy, right? Can be transferred from one place to another. But I just love what you said. Could you say that again? I want to put that in my brain.
I said energy never dies, it never rests. It's always in motion.
I love that. That's a really cool way to say that. No, Kevin is sharing. I gotta put my glasses on too. I should have picked a bigger font, you guys. It says, "I get what you mean, Angel. The protection spell trapped the energy, and nothing positive could get in or out. Sounds like. I also feel when the female matriarch passed on, it broke the curse."
It absolutely did. And I got the biggest confirmation because my older sister called and said, Angel, why is your niece seeing you back in 1970 trying to save people from Christianity? I was like, oh my gosh. So I knew that was the confirmation that it had broken.
Oh, that's so interesting. So Heidi's sharing everything has a frequency, and Kevin's saying, thinking as matriarch, as the eldest living remaining of that line in his mind, he said.
100%.
So now, what other types of work do you do? I don't normally go through people's work, but I looked at your bio. You sent me a great bio, by the way, and your website. Like, you've got really intriguing things that you're able to do, because I would love for more people to find out about you and the work that you're doing. So again, if we just pick a common day issue that you may see people, not everybody's unique and different, I get it, just so people can hear this. It's kind of like with the animal communication when I talk about Julie, right? And I say, if you've got a pet that's driving you absolutely insane and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, Julie can help you. But she's also an animal healer. She also, there's so many other things she can do. But people can connect with that. That's an everyday example, right?
So I'm a Reiki master, and I also do quantum healing. So, but I'm able to heal through the stars. I don't know how do I explain that? If let's say you had a headache and I could do a healing on you to help remove that headache by pulling it off and seeing what the issue was at the same way through Reiki. So I do Reiki and quantum healing as well. It's something else that I do. And that's about it. That's it between the soul readings or energy body.
Yeah, that's just it. Nothing else.
That's it. That's it.
I think you do quite a bit. Yeah, Julie just said you do it all. She said, "You do it all." There you go. You do it all.
A one-stop shop.
No, I'm really intrigued because I've always felt just like I did with the Akashic records. And I spent a couple of years taking 2 different levels with I think my mentor's in Los Angeles, I think. I'm trying to remember if she is or anyways, doesn't matter. But I took that, and then after the first course I went, holy cow, I think I've been going here my whole life and it's everything I've always been doing anyways. It was kind of nice to put a label to it and a bit more of a process. So the other thing that I've always felt a calling to, but I've never dipped into is sacred geometry. So can we talk a little? We haven't got much time. We only got about 12, 13 minutes. See how fast I told you it was going to go by? Can we talk about it if people have never heard it before? Sorry, were you going to say
sacred
something?
geometry? Everything is sacred. Even if you look at restaurants you go to, the way the signs are made, the way the colors are, everything is sacred geometry. And that is the best way to really. That's how I can explain sacred geometry. The way, take a lotus flower and just keep building on, adding petals, is really the foundation of our chakras. Each chakra is a lotus flower. That's sacred geometry. You look at the Great Pyramids, the way that they're built, the way that they're created. Pi 3.14 sacred geometry.
About the pyramids. I'm sorry I'm jumping in, but I was just thinking about the pyramids 5 minutes ago. Please continue. I'm sorry.
So it's sacred geometry is our energetic language. Just by learning the base, and then I'm not talking about the regular geometry. Just go learn the basic geometry. Just learn with the cube, the circle. Those basic things opens up all of your sacred geometry. Just the basic.
Yeah, but then there's Merkabahs, and then there's there's and I know that it's not quite. It is sacred geometry, but it isn't. I know Merkabahs have so many other things connected to Merkabahs. But
yeah, and that's like a whole nother. Well, I'm gonna tell you the secret to learn about the Merkaba cube and sacred geometry in your meditation. Connect in with Metatron, the Archangel Metatron.
That name just went in my head before you said it.
He will show you everything there is to know about his cube.
That name came, and I knew this because she said it. I heard Metatron. I went, oh yeah. I do have to share this with you guys. Okay, so normally my partner, he's more into. I do not like the word conspiracy theory. I prefer truth seeking to the name, and I get together with 2 of my closest friends. Usually, I don't know if we're meeting tomorrow, but usually once a week, every 2 weeks, we connect with spirit. We get all kinds of information. I don't know what we're supposed to do with it, but they keep talking about bringing this world back into balance. And we know we're just 3 people. And we're not saying it's us. We know there are hundreds of thousands of people around the world, doing their part in little bits and pieces. Anyways, my partner, Del, he hears them and then he's got to get his nose in there and add his 2 cents worth, right? The day he started talking about Merkabahs, I fell off the steps practically. I went, how the heck do you know what a Merkaba is? Because he doesn't go into spiritual stuff. So he just about blew my mind when he did.
Listen, I love the Merkaba too. You can if you said you're a Reiki master. So
I do crystal Reiki. Do you know what crystal Reiki is?
Yes. And with the crystal Reiki, you can go into the Merkaba cube with the higher self and sit with that person and with Metatron. So I love the Merkaba cube. It's probably one of my favorite things to use. And for protection, because you can sit all the archangels around you. And there's nothing getting in, nothing bothering you or even coming close.
When I had my attunement for crystal Reiki, and Crystal Reiki master lived in the States, and we were supposed to meet her in a meditation. And she said, you better be there. It was 101. I'll know. I never did this. I fell asleep. And I remember messaging her, oh my God, I fell asleep. She said, that's okay. There is no space and time. It's a long story, but I'll try to make it really short. I listened to it 5 days later, and I just about died. The things that she goes, I see you sitting there and your hair is all tied back at the nape of your neck. It was, I didn't normally wear it like that. She goes, I see you sitting on something white and fluffy. I had been sitting there. This was a Tuesday. So 5 days later, I love unicorns. So I bought this big white fluffy unicorn blanket. I'm sitting on it, and I have all these crystals I arranged all around me to do this. She says, yeah, I see you sitting on something white and fluffy, and she's describing all the crystals. So there is no time and space on the other side, obviously. Then, long story short, maybe next time you come on, we'll talk about this. She confirmed for me something somebody else had told me. They didn't know each other, that what I look like in a past life. And I apparently was, I'm not a Shakespeare fan, but Lady Titania, I think it's from Macbeth or Midsummer Night's Dream. Apparently I was her sister. Anyways, I used to wear this crown of thorns. Well, one of the symbols for Crystal Reiki is a 7-pointed star, and I still have the recording. She goes, I don't know what it is about your higher self. She goes, you just reached up and grabbed that 7-pointed star, put it right here. She describes the crown, and then at the end of it, because it has to do with the fairy realm, another thing I'm very connected to. She then says, I don't know why. She goes, I didn't even know I had this statue. And she sends me a picture. It's the most beautiful fairy sitting there with her arms around her knees. And she's got monarch butterfly wings as a fairy. Oh. But there's another person a couple weeks before had told me about their past life. And as soon as he told me, he says, it was a mentor, somebody I was mentoring. And they go, I know you. I go, of course you know me. We're talking. No, I know you. And then they tell me what I looked like, who I was. And right away, he goes, I used to call you Maeve. And I go, no, my name was Maven. And then I sat down. I haven't drawn in a long time, and drew it was a couple hours later. I drew the most incredible. I mean, it wasn't belong in an art studio or anything, but it was like a Pegasus unicorn. And I knew it wasn't my familiar. It wasn't my pet. It was like yin and yang. I knew her name and everything. Craziest one of the experiences I've ever had in my life. That's why I keep asking you about this past life stuff, because I'm sure you discover so much stuff when you do a reading for people about their past lives, right?
Absolutely. A lot of stuff. I've seen a lot. But it's interesting because when you just mentioned that person, that would be around the time of the Great Library, the burning of the Great Library. So there's your connection point there. So it just all comes full circle. So I love it. Yes, so I love past life readings. And I don't read the Akashic records. I actually go on your galactic record chakra. I don't know if y'all know you have a soul star.
I don't. So let's hear about that. We got about 3 minutes. I still want to give you time to tell people where to find you. We got about 3 minutes.
So we have 12 main chakras. So you have, of course, everybody knows your crown chakra, but above your crown chakra, you have your soul star chakra.
Yeah.
That's where your Akashic records are found, your earth records, what's happening in earth. But above that, you have a galactic chakra. That's where your galactic records are found. Also, if you meditate and go into this chakra, this is where a lot of you will meet your dragons, your fairies, the gnomes, the unicorns, the mermaids, because this is the mystical realm that takes us into all mystical things. So try to meditate into that galactic chakra. And again, it's just a matter of letting the energy flow there and see what you find. You can anchor yourself on Andromeda. You can anchor yourself on Sirius B. You can anchor yourself on any of the stars, any of the star systems, the Orion belt, and see what you see. That's where a lot of these mystical realms are at, that, they're beyond Earth. They're in these stars. So
everybody is going in the chat. I don't know if you're seeing this. Everybody's going, we knew we weren't ending yet. Everybody's going, oh my God, please have him back on. Please have Angel back on. Please have Angel back on. So Angel, what have you got coming up? How can people hear more of your voice and the work you're doing, book sessions with you? Please share it all with our listeners.
What do I have going on? So I did just launch my new podcast. It's called Soul Rise Healing Podcast. It's only 3 episodes in. You can find that on YouTube. You can book a reading at me at www.soulrisehealing.com. I'm opening up my mentorship starting in January. So one-on-one mentors, you're ready to work through healing, growing, mystical. I even do everything. I have that. And you can find me on Facebook for the most part at Angel Thomas. Oh,
Okay. Everybody, Michelle's saying, "Nah, he's here now. Keep it going." They've never said that one before, Angel. Keep it going. You guys, I would, but you know what? The right after us at 10 after 8 Eastern, it's Dolly Preston and Dolly Saffron and Preston Dennett. My brain is not working tonight. My God. With the light gate. And so we want you to tune into them. I will have Angel back on. I think I'm booking into April next year already, but I promise, if you were amenable to it, I will have you back on. I promise.
absolutely. You just send me the link and I'll book.
I'm super excited about it too. This just flew by. I knew it would. By the way, I hope all of you who celebrated Thanksgiving, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving holiday. Don't forget to tune in this Thursday, 7:10 p.m. By the time we go live, Carrie Lynn and I, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, are Beneath the Hollow Moon, are doing, I believe we're getting into kind of the spookier side of Christmas. I forget what we called it. The 12 somethings of, I don't know, but we're going to be getting into like Grilla and Krampus and all those things. Don't forget, if you have a spooky story, you can certainly send it to either one of us on social media or Carrie Lynn's Porch at gmail.com, including, I'm sorry, I almost said Halloween. Christmas night, we are having the Holiday Haunted Hotline. We're looking for spooky stories. So if you want to come on air for 5 minutes or so, if you reach out to me again or Carrie Lynn on any social media platform, or again, same email, carrieLynnsPorch at gmail.com, please feel free to share it. We'd love to have you join us. Grab your cozy jammies. It was Carrie Lynn's idea, and I really appreciate that she did this. We're going to have chicken nuggets and french fries in honor of Justin, my son that is no longer with us. He's no longer Earthside, but he's still with us in spirit. So please do that. We'd love to have you. So next week, you guys, you're in for a real treat. Guess who we're having on? I haven't had her on in forever. Carol Ann Ayatarola. She's a host on our network, Ethereal Encounters, unveiled on Thursdays before our show, me and Carrie Lynn. And I believe she's got another show, I think on Wednesdays and Fridays, because Carrie Lynn and I haven't even told you, are going to be on her show Friday, December 19th. So you'll see us together there too. You guys ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on, at the moment, facebook.com/Angel Rock or any social media platform. I do psychic and mediumship readings. I do Akashic records. I do crystal Reiki sessions. I do teaching and mentoring. Leanne and I have not forgotten about our course that we are going to be launching in the new year, that we're going to be teaching. So once I get that under my belt, we get it all set up. We work on it every Wednesday. I hopefully will have a domain name by then. So I want to thank you, Angel. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on here.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't go anywhere. Once we get off here, still want to talk to you for a few minutes when we're off air. But you guys, thank you always for being here, showing up, sharing everything that you do. We really, really do appreciate everything you do to support our network. I send you all so much love, and we will see you on Thursday. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Stay tuned for Dolly and Preston coming up next, okay? See you later.